Hey everyone, welcome back to Buick Outdoors. If you're new around here, my name is Sheldon Marion, and on this video, I'm going to show you how I take wildly harvested chaga and turn it into chaga supplements. So I'm going to dive right into this right away. I'm going to show you all the gear that I have here for making these supplements, and then also how to make them, and then at the end of the video, I'll go over some of the health benefits that chaga has. So first things first, you're gonna need some wildly harvested chaga. If you don't know what chaga is, it's just a big growth that's on the side of living birch trees. Uh, if you're unable to harvest this yourself, there is places that will sell you chaga chunks that you can use. However, it is fairly expensive. And what you want is the black bark on the outside and also this golden brown on the inside. Now, in the wild, very rarely do you find chunks that are this big. For the most part, you will find pieces that are like this size and this size growing on the side of the tree. If you want to see how I harvest my chaga, I'll put a little link in the description below for you. Then there'll also be something that I'll pop up here in the corner that you can click on to watch how I harvest chaga. After you have sourced some chaga, you're going to need just a regular old cutting board. You're going to need pretty well a real cheap knife that you really don't care about because this stuff is very hard. So pretty well you need your cheap kind of junky knife just to break this up into smaller chunks that we will use later on in the coffee grinder. Speaking about the coffee grinder, you do need a coffee grinder. I got just a little cheapo Black & Decker one. This one is 25 bucks. And then what I got here is what's called a Cap'em Quick pill filler. When you order these, I got this off Amazon. I got the next three things off Amazon, but you really gotta pay attention to the size. This one here is for size 0, and this was $35, and the size 0 is the size of gelatin capsules that I got. These come in a 1,000 count bag, and they are $15 for 1,000 of these. And again, size 0, so they match your pill filler. And then I also picked up a little capsule filling tool kit. Inside comes with a couple little spoons and stuff like that. The most important thing that came with it was this little tamper. So once as I put my ground up chaga into the pill filler, I take this and I just kind of tap them all down, and whichever ones need more, I use the spoon and I top it up. And that is basically everything you need, plus a little container. I got these little glass jars from the dollar store. 3 of them were like $1.25. So all together with everything here, it's about $100 of equipment that you need. Luckily, a lot of it is like a one-time purchase, like your jars and your coffee grinder. Also, with the coffee grinder, I also use it for my coffee beans. So it's not just for this. And if you get a little chaga in your coffee or a little coffee in your chaga, it's really not a big deal. But anyways, now that I've gone over the equipment, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I break this stuff down, and then we'll get into making our supplements. So what I like to do when I'm making these is I honestly don't get carried away with cutting it all up. If there's pieces that are about this size, you know, about a 1-inch size, this one might be a little too big, I'd cut that one in half again. But really, as long as they're able to go into your grinder and your grinder is able to pretty well pulverize it and grind it up into a powder, even big chunks like this is kind of a leftover piece from the last time I made chaga, that's really all you need. And if you're making a tea, I would suggest taking most of the black stuff off, because that's where a lot of the bitter taste is from. But when you're making these supplements, if you leave the black stuff on, even small pieces of bark or the odd twig and stuff like that, I really don't see a problem with it at all. Also, it should be mentioned, you don't need a whole lot of chaga for this. A piece this big will honestly make you probably 200 supplements. So really, if you buy a big bag of just chaga chunks off of Amazon or local person or whatever the case may be, a little bit will go a long ways. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take out my leftovers. Got another little chunk in here. And I'll move this other stuff off the cutting board. And I'll show you just how hard this stuff is to cut. Like I was saying, with this piece here, probably have to cut it in half. So I'll put it on the cutting board. And with this stuff, you want to find somewhat of a flat surface that you can put it on. And I don't go and chop it like an axe. What I do is I put the knife on there, keep my fingers out of the way, and I just push, smack her. And that's why you want a real cheap knife that you really don't care about, because as you can see here, you're gonna most likely ding the blade and all that stuff. Definitely don't use your good cooking knives, but as long as I have a piece that's roughly an inch or so, I think that's gonna be good enough. This one here, we'll cut this one in half. Sometimes they bust real easy, other times you gotta kind of almost wail on them. But all this stuff here, it's all good to go into the grinder. When you're using the bigger chunks, you don't want to overfill your grinder. There we go. So what I'll do is I'll start with this little bit here, that little handful, and simply put, grab a grinder that's unplugged. You don't want to accidentally turn that thing on when your fingers are near it. We're just going to load this thing up. Now we're going to put the lid on. Gotta reach over here, plug her in, and then we'll grind her up. Alright, so the coffee grinder's all plugged in. Let's see what happens. Now, a lot of times you're going to have to start and stop quite a few times. I can hear there's one chunk in there that's just kind of floating around, but that's alright. At least there, we got enough to start here. So I'm going to unplug our grinder. So we got our grinder unplugged. Any bigger chunks like this that didn't quite get ground up, I just set them off to the side here. Then any other kind of big chunks, you want to take them out, because that's not quite gonna make her into one of these capsules. So we'll dump that into there, grab our leftovers from the last time, put them in there as well. Then we'll just set this stuff off to the side here. Now what we got is quite a bit of nice chaga powder that we can kind of work with. So I'm going to clear off my cutting board and we'll get the capsules all set up. So here we got our Cap'em Quick size 0 capsule filler. Comes with a nice little card that works good for scraping everything in. What you want to do is you want to pick this up slightly, and you have like these little stoppers. Make sure this bottom is kind of cleaned out beforehand. That way all your capsules sit in there nice and flat. So now that we have this set up on our two little tabs here, we're able to grab our bag of capsules. Now these capsules, fresh out of the bag, they come kind of put together. Try to hold that up so you guys can see her here. So they come together, and what you gotta do is separate them. So basically grab one end, grab the other, pull it off. So here you have a long end, here you have a short end. What you want to do is you take your long end, you put it down inside, and the short end, you just take that, set it off to the side where you won't lose it, because you're going to need that at the end. Alright, so now that we have all of our capsules inside the capsule filler, what we're going to do, we're going to take our little bit of chaga here, and I try to put on a nice even layer. Something like that. And then that card that we got that came with this, pretty well just try to fill these in without shooting off your chaga powder everywhere. And it's gonna make a little bit of a mess, but that's okay. We'll pick that up later. It's all part of the fun, I guess. And as you can see, you start to fill everything up. Push this stuff off to the side. Now what I do is I grab our little, what do we call this thing? Pill filler, tool kit, whatever. then I grab out our little tamper. And this tamper, I just go around and I touch up every one of these. Now that we got them all tampered down, what I do is I go over it one more time with the card. Fill up any loose pieces here. And then one more time with the tamper. So now that we have them all tampered down, what I'm doing here now, I'm just taking this card and cleaning the top off. Then we're going to take our cap. And simply put them on. Alrighty, so now that we have all of our chaga pills finally all capped up here and good to go, what we're going to do, I just kind of roll my hand over it, push down slightly, make sure all the caps are on there, grab this top plate, give her a pull, I kind of push them all down through. And then what you're left with is a whole pile of your own little homemade, wild harvested chaga supplements. Now with this particular capsule filler, it does 50 at a time. And what I do is I just have like my little glass container or a little mason jar, and I just toss them into that. So I'll fit what I can into here. And then I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to count out 30 of them, bottle them up, and then I'm going to send those over to my brother there at Macaroni Meadows. He's really big into kind of the natural supplements and wild harvested food and all that stuff. So I'm going to give him 30 pills for his Christmas present, along with a couple other things, and I'm going to see what he thinks. So we'll get these all bottled up here, and I'll count them out later. And yeah, that's how I make my little capsules. And once I get these bottled up, what we'll do is I'll go over some of the benefits of taking chaga, whether you want it as a supplement or as chaga tea. Alright, so chaga has been used for centuries in places like Siberia and other parts of Asia for like an immunity booster and to improve your overall health. And then just recently, it's been kind of becoming more popular in kind of like what you call like the Western world, like Canada and United States. Unfortunately for United States, it doesn't really grow overly too much because you have to be in kind of a northern climate. But the benefits of chaga are just astronomical. Some things suggest that chaga is believed to fight inflammation, lower blood sugar, reduce blood pressure, alleviate arthritis, and even prevent or slow the progression of cancer. All of this stuff too, it's all a lot of kind of hearsay kind of thing, because I don't believe there's been any actual clinical tests, and it's also not governed by the FDA kind of a thing. But a lot of times the same thing comes up over and over and over again, where it says preventing aging and derailing cancer cells, healing of the digestive system, improves bowel function, reduces arthritic pain and swelling of the joints, which I can 100% attest to, improves eyesight, reduces insomnia or irregular sleeping patterns, improves skin tone, removes skin tags, reduces appearance of discolorations, liver spots, and ugly looking moles, increases energy levels, reduces bad cholesterol, controls blood sugar levels, reduces hyperactivity in children and assists concentration, lowers the risk of hyperintensions, And the list just kind of keeps going on and on about small things like that. And for me, what I started doing is I started taking it as a tea, uh, but then drinking tea every single day. Uh, you don't, you kind of get bored of it. Plus, with the chaga, there's benefits of the golden brown stuff. There's also benefits of the black outer bark. And when you're drinking a tea, I don't like the black outer bark because that's where kind of like the real bitterness comes from. If you want it as like a coffee alternative, the black stuff is pretty nice. But for me, I liked it as a tea. And if you're using just like this inner light brown, golden brown color stuff, uh, it's a slightly semi-sweet, kind of almost has like a caramel taste to it, and it makes an amazing tea, especially with a little spoon or two of honey in it. So with the supplements, what I end up doing is I grind it all up, so that way you get all the benefits. Unfortunately, with chaga, uh, some of the nutrients in it, you can only pull out of it with like uh, an alcohol tincture, where you have to soak this in small pieces in alcohol, and then that way it draws out absolutely everything. Uh, but I'm not much of a drinker, and even if I was, it doesn't sound like it'd be overly too good. So that's why I take the supplements. And in one of my podcasts a while ago, I mentioned that I get gout and inflammation very, very bad in my feet, sometimes in both of my feet at the same time. And then whether I'm at home or at work, the only thing that really kept me going was taking 2 extra strength Moltrins about 2 or 3 times a day, and then just being stubborn, powering through it all, and just trying not to fall over, kind of a thing. But since I started taking these supplements, and this is all just what has happened to me, I can't say that's going to happen to you, uh, but my feet have been great lately. Uh, I get the odd little flare up from time to time, and I think that just depends on what I eat. But when I put my shoes on, my feet fit. A lot of times, my left foot fits, my right foot is tight. But what I've been doing is I've been just taking uh, one chaga pill and one little probiotic with every meal, and it has drastically changed the way I feel. Uh, I can actually lace up my boots and all that good stuff now. When it comes to rubber boots, I can actually wear them. A lot of times I couldn't because I couldn't get my foot down actually inside the boot. Uh, Also, when I put on shoes, it doesn't hurt to put my shoes on. So for me, the benefits have been just astronomical, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to make this video. Whether you want to drink this as a tea or as a coffee alternative, say something like Dandelion Root Tea, it makes a great coffee alternative. Or if you want to grind it up and make your own little supplements, especially if you have arthritic pains and stuff. Uh, you know, as always with a lot of this stuff, make sure you talk to your doctor about it first. Don't just take my word for it because I'm some guy on YouTube and I'm on the internet, kind of a thing. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a pharmacist. I have no training in it whatsoever. I'm just the guy that found chaga in the bush, and I thought, let's try it out. So for me and my experience, that has been great, and I'm going to continue to use it. I'm going to give my brother some. I told my Auntie Kim that I was going to give her some. Kept forgetting about it. Sorry, Kim. But now this stuff is going to be on its way to those guys, and I'm curious to see how it works for them. So we will see what happens. Maybe we'll do a little follow-up video or do a podcast about it or something like that later on in the future. But anyways, guys, that's how I make my chaga pills or my chaga supplements. To make the tea, cube it up, put it into hot water, simmer it for 20-30 minutes, like a French press, and then just put it in a couple tablespoons of honey, and it's phenomenal. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope you learned something. I hope you check out my other video on how I harvest this stuff. And then, yeah, let me know in the comments if this stuff works for you. And if it does, right on. If it doesn't, well, sorry about your luck. Anyways, hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, catch you on the next one.